Hey guys, Kid here. It's been a while since I last made a video or a deck tech. I've been pretty busy with Anime Expo, Evolution 2014, and other events in my shop, like filling out orders and stuff for Weiss. But besides that, I just been pretty busy with work and everything, so I haven't had time to do a video, and there hasn't really been anything really super exciting for me to like want to do a video right now. But I'm finally getting around to doing a few videos that have some free time, or now that I have some free time. Today I want to talk about Kill la Kill, and I will have another deck tech for Kill la Kill after this one. Hopefully I'll have it out in a couple days after this video gets published, and then I should have a few more after that. I'm gonna try to stay more active instead of like taking a month break before making another video. So for those of you that were looking forward to these videos and stuff, they should be coming out a lot more consistent. And also, before I get started, if you guys have any ideas of types of videos you want, like maybe set discussions, or I can maybe start doing the Weiss podcast that I want to do again, for like competitive play and things like that. If you have any like suggestions and stuff for content you guys would like to see, just leave it in the comments below. I'll try to get, if there's a lot of comments or a lot of comments for a certain type of thing, like maybe podcast or other like fun builds or something like that, or like interviews or things like that. I'll try to do it if I can, or if I have time, and hopefully you guys will enjoy that stuff. But I should, like, hopefully pretty soon I should start having like maybe videos up after I do a deck tech of a certain video. I'll be able to get like match videos of it, and maybe talk about kind of like what I'm doing each turn, or something like that. I'll do some kind of match video like thing after I do a deck tech of the certain deck, and then hopefully I can get it up and like link it in the video also, so you guys can watch how the deck plays out and stuff like that. But other than that, let's just get to the deck tech. Like I said earlier, today's Kill la Kill. The deck I have is a red-blue deck, or more like blue-red deck. I'm not exactly sure, but this deck is basically a sisters deck. It's Ryuko and Satsuki, and if you didn't see the show already, spoilers, they're sisters. Anyway, the deck is heavily based around like the old type of meta where you play changers into, or not changers in this case, but you play level 3s early and you heal a bunch at level, or try to heal a bunch at level 2 to prolong your level 2 game, so you can out damage your opponent in the long run. But the thing I like about this version is it has a pretty good way to end the game at level 3. But yeah, let's just get into this deck tech. The level 0 game in this actually has 19 zeros. It's a little bit on the heavy side, I guess, but I usually run them between 16 and 20 zeros anyway, but usually the average deck runs 16. Just something to take note of. So first of all, we run 3 of this PR box card. The PR box card that is a runner. It's 2/5. It runs to center stage during your opponent's attack step. This card's pretty good because it's a little bit overstated. It's 2/5, so it can actually kill some things that aren't beaters. And it also helps you plus cards, since your opponent usually won't drop a lot of characters early on. So you can move this to the center stage and plus the card off of it and take more damage, so you can get to level 1 faster, so your level 1s can do a little bit more work, and you can start forcing your opponents to start losing more cards earlier. What's really great about this card too, since it's 2/5 base, we do run 2,000 1 soul and draw a card climaxes in this, the 2k1s, and so this card can actually kill a lot of random things at level 0 that if you need it to, and it just, like with 1 support, it becomes vanilla, and sometimes vanilla is just more than enough, or more than annoying enough for your opponent to, like, they have to like avoid fighting this. Otherwise, it forces your opponent to flood at least commit 2 characters to the field, and after that you can just like respond and remove those characters with 2 of your own characters, and then forces your opponent in a really crappy position, since they already started losing the hand, hand war in this case, or their hand size. Next, we run 3 of this top check Satsuki. I really like this card. I haven't really seen it in a lot of other builds. But what's so great about this card is that it's 2/5 base, once again. you can kill some random stuff and things like that. But what's so great about this card is that when it comes into play, you reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a closed character, this card gains 2,000 power for the turn, so it becomes 4,500 for the turn. So it usually gets rid of any level 0s that are really annoying for you, or anything overstated really at 0. Especially since you run 2k1s in this deck. This level 0 is still relevant at level 1 and sometimes level 2, because if you reveal a closed character when you play this, it's 4,500 base. With 1 support, it's 5k, and then with the 2k1, it's 7k, so it can randomly kill things like you don't want to waste level 1s on or whatever. And so yeah, it just sometimes can just be randomly really big, which is a really cool thing about this card. Also, the top check ability of it is not really a demerit, since late game you can just play it, look at the top card of your deck, and you're like, oh, I have a climax with 2 soul there, I guess I'll side here for game. Things like that. That's why I really like this card. And just like having the ability to top check when you play it and not have a real demerit really is pretty nice. Sometimes it is bad when you do whiff on this and you were really counting on it to beat a level 0, but it's pretty whatever. At that point, you're just like, alright, whatever, I'll side it then. But yeah, this card's pretty awesome. Next, we have 3 Senketsu Suiciders, level 0 Suiciders. Besides the level 0 Suicide ability, or the level 0 Reverse ability, it has, when this card comes into play, give one of your characters with a marker 1,000 power for the turn. This deck runs a lot of runs a lot of cards with that gains markers. Like, this entire set is kind of marker based, and so this card helps your level 1 game get over things, and sometimes even level 2/3 characters get over things because that extra 1,000 power. So it's like a pretty good utility Suicider, and like any Suicider that has an ability instead of just other than just level 0 Reverse is usually pretty good. Also, you use it for the level 3 game, which I'll explain later. Next, we run 3 of this Satsuki Brainstormer. It's a plus hand Brainstormer through draw. So basically, it's pay 1, tap 2 of your characters, mill the top 4 cards of your deck. If for every climax revealed, you may draw up to X cards, or X the number of climaxes. So, and then it has another ability which makes this card pretty good at 0, because it's it can randomly become a beater, even though it's 2,000 power base. When this card's on the field, it has a continuous ability. When your opponent has 2 or less characters in the front row, it gains 1,000 power, so it can be vanilla at level 0 and can kill random things. And yeah, pluses your hand and helps you mill your deck, which helps out your level 2 game a lot. We get to more utility zeros. This is kind of like half support and hand fix level 0 utility. That's pretty good. You're never gonna really kill things with this because it has 500 power, but its ability is, when it comes into play, you can discard a climax card from your hand and then salvage a character card. This helps you get supports you might need, or level 3s you might need at level 2 and things like that, which is pretty important for this deck. And it also helps you fix your hand before refresh and things like that. But what's so great about this card is it helps us set up for our level 2 game, which I'll kind of explain a little bit later. Oh, and also I totally forgot, but whenever a character gets reversed, you can give a character 1,000 power for the turn. So it can be really annoying for your opponent to like beat your entire field sometimes with this out. Our general support is this Mako card. It's global 500 to family and closed trait characters, which is basically everything in this deck. And the secondary ability is the center card on your front stage. Can't be targeted by your opponent, so it stops wind trigger and like things that's just any effect that basically targets that card. For those of you that don't know, you should know by now, is that Suiciders don't target, so like they still get reversed and things like that. But yeah, this card is still pretty relevant. It can help your level 2 game out a lot. And then we run one of this spammable Brainstorm. For every climax you hit when you brainstorm, you give 2,000 power to one of your characters. Next ability is, when it comes into play, you can pay 2 to search your deck for a red gauntlet event. You basically use this to get red gauntlet events when you kind of need to plus hand pretty bad, but you don't usually play this card. Right now I'm kind of like on the fence about this card. Maybe it's not right to even play one. We can just maybe cut it, because usually the Spammable Brainstorm isn't that relevant either. But occasionally it's been pretty godlike in some cases. But besides that, it's like just a whatever card at this point. I might cut it in the future. Next, we run 4 of the blue Junketsu event. I like this card in this deck over the red one because even though the 1/1 red Junketsu event is a 3/5 counter, the problem with it is our level 1 game requires this card as a marker, and also our level 2 game basically requires this card as a marker, and it can be very troublesome if I run like the 1/1 counter event instead of this 1/0 event, because this I can just get into the waiting room whenever I want when I have it in my hand. But basically, this card is Brainstorm. Is it? Alright, never mind. Not Brainstorm. I don't know what I'm thinking. But it's basically look at the top 4 cards of your deck. Pick a closed character among them and add it to your hand. Show it to your opponent and add it to your hand. Then put the rest into the waiting room. This card is basically like a free Brainstorm. I guess that's why I was like trying to say Brainstorm there. But what's really great about this card, it helps you mill your deck a lot without having to pay any stock. It helps you get cards, like helps you set up your level 1 game a little bit better, or even level 2 game, since you can mill your deck and find things you need. And what's really great about this card too later on is that it helps set up your level 2 game a lot, especially after a refresh. And then also it helps you like refresh at like one something, because like the whole point of this deck right now is you want to try to stay pretty compressed and always try to refresh before level 2. At least your first refresh before level 2. It helps this deck out a lot, and just helps you a lot out in general because you have a higher rate to cancel, and if you draw into climaxes you don't really care either, because all the climaxes have really good climax combos in this deck. But yeah, like I said, it's a 1/0. It's basically like a free Brainstorm that for the most part always gets you a replacement card for this. You do have to watch out though, because Mako does not have closed trait, so she only has family trait. So if you reveal like 3 Makos in a climax, you're kind of screwed. You can't pick anything, and occasionally when that happens, it's your fault for like not counting how many events are out of your deck, how many climaxes are out of your deck, and how many Makos are out of your deck. When I first started playing this deck, I did make that mistake once and ended up like revealing 2 climaxes, a Mako, and an event, and I was like, well, I can't grab anything here, so discard all of it. But besides that, it just helps you mill your deck and everything like that, and sets up your level 1 game even better. Our level 1 game is 4 of this 1/0 Satsuki. It's 4,500 power, but for every marker it has underneath it, it gains 1,500 power, so it becomes a 106k. And the way it gains marker is when this card comes into play, you take a Junketsu event from your waiting room and put it underneath as a marker, and then it's basically a 106k. What's so great about this card is that it randomly can help you compress by pulling these events out of your waiting room. It's a 106k. It doesn't cost you anything, so if your opponent bounces it or kills it, you don't really care because you spent no real resources on this card other than playing it from your hand. And like I said, it helps compress you, especially before refresh. You can like play 3 of these and put 3 events under them, and then boom, you're like, that's 3 less cards going back in your deck that aren't climaxes. So besides that 106k event, becomes like what is it, 8k or whatever, with a 2k one, 8.5 with the support and stuff like that. So it can randomly be pretty big and annoying for your opponent, and just 500 overstated, so it's pretty good. Also at level 1 we run 4 of this 1/0 Ryuko. This card is pretty ridiculous. Its first ability is climax combo with the gate. When the gate's in the climax zone, this gains 4,500 for the turn, so it becomes 9k base. And then the climax gives another 1,000, so it becomes 10k base. This card's basically used at level 1 if you need to get over things like Vivid Red or Rewrite, who have like early change that's pretty annoying and overstated. And yeah, that's the only reason you really use it at 1, or if you have no other better plays really. But besides that, the second ability is what makes it really silly, and the whole reason you want to run this card is that when you have the climax, if you're level the gate climax in the climax zone, if you're level 2 or higher, when this card attacks, you can pick a card in your opponent's waiting room and put it on top of the deck. At level 2, you can put a bunch of healers into their thing and like kind of deny them healers and ways to refresh and stuff like that. But there's other like really silly ways you can set this up to be really, really annoying for your opponent. And but yeah, like this card is pretty ridiculous. Basically, every time you play the climax is 10k, and top decks a card for free. So that's pretty silly in my opinion. Then finally at level 1, we run a one of this Senketsu's pay 1, discard 1 search character. It's 4,500 base. You pay 1, discard 1, search for a close or family trait character. You basically use this to like get Makos and stuff like that you have trouble with, or pay out something. It's kind of a one of in a deck. I don't use it that often. I might end up cutting this card too. But right now it's like done it's done some work. You can search out Ryuko's or like level 3 Satsuki's when you need it, things like that. But besides that, it's been pretty whatever. It's kind of like a added bonus. Like whenever you draw into it, it's usually like an added bonus. Like you get to search out whatever you want. But yeah, it's pretty whatever right now. And then we're moving on to our level 2 game. Our level 2 game only has one character. It is the TD support Ryuko. It gives 1,000 power in front, and the second ability is when it comes into play, you can pay 2 to salvage a character. I like this card over the booster version. The booster version is global 1000 and climax combo with stock 1 and soul 1. Personally, I like this one better because you don't need a climax combo to salvage a character with it, and then also it just can help you fix your hand size and stuff like that when you get later in the game and for some reason got really screwed. Besides that, power isn't really really big factor in this deck. You sometimes at level 3 you want some of your level 3s to die actually to set up some really cool things, but besides that, it also helps your 106Ks become like 107Ks, which is kind of relevant sometimes after level 1. But besides that, it's a good one of, in my opinion. And the final level 2 is event 2 of this red gauntlet event. So this is the card that the level 0 searches for. And what this card is pay 2, salvage 2. Basically, solid event, helps you recycle healers and things like that and get cards you need at level 2. And it only costs 2 to like +1 hand, which is great. Finally, we're moving on to our level 3 game. Well, level 3, like 2.5 game, I guess, because we run 4 level 3 Satsuki's. It's the only healer in this set. But what's so great about this card, and the whole reason you like milling your deck with the 1/0 event and Brainstormer, is that if you have 3 or more of the blue 2k1 climax in your waiting room, this card loses a level in your hand. So basically, you want to mill your deck after refresh and at level 2 and get 3 of them in your waiting room, and then start playing these in the field and healing and just kind of looping them if you can, and just heal down and stay at level 2 as long as you can, just to be really annoying to your opponent. And they have 2 souls, so it just becomes really, really annoying for your opponent to deal with. And another thing is, besides healing, is when this card comes into play, you heal 1 and then take a Junketsu event from your waiting room, one of the 1/0 blue events I showed earlier, and put it underneath as a marker. And the card is only 9k power, but with the marker gains another 1500, so it becomes 10-5 base. 10-5 base can be a little bit annoying to at level 2, and especially since usually you have a Mako support out, it becomes 11k, and then whenever you do actually need power, you have that 2/1 Ryuko support to make it 12k. And so this card usually stays on the field for a while unless your opponent has really buff characters to deal with it. Besides that, they're just this is like basically your level 2 game. You just want to like kind of cycle these and heal and stuff like that, and stay at level 2 as long as you can, and try to push your opponent to level 3 before you hit level 3. Our next level 3 card is Ryuko. This card is a really godlike card. It has an ability on here that I think is really fun to play with, and can close out games like randomly depending like how aggressive you are with the card. But basically, when this card comes into play, you take one of your Junketsu one of your Junketsu events from your waiting room, send it to memory, then pick a Senketsu level 0 Suicider and put it underneath as a marker. And when this card has a marker, or the next ability is when this card gets reversed in battle, you can pay 1, reveal a close character trait card from your hand and put it underneath as a marker and rest it. So it basically has pay one, ditch a, or lose a card encore on this. It's kind of like a pay one character encore. But what's so great about this is this last ability is during your encore, at the start of your encore step, you may pay 2. If you do, deal X damage to your opponent, where X is the number of markers underneath, or number of markers this card has. So you can set up really silly things where you run this in and pay 2 and pay 1 and rest this again, and then give it another marker, and then at your encore step pay 2 and deal 2 damage to kill your opponent and things like that. So that's why I think this card's a lot of fun and really cool. And it's a pretty aggressive card, which I really like in this deck, because basically you kind of want to just hang around at level 2 as long as you can with the level 3 Satsukis, and then as soon as you hit level 3, you drop one or two of these on the field, and then you just kind of burn your opponent to death from there, because hopefully at that point your opponent is already level 3 and like close to death because you've been healing at level 2 and you've stayed at level 2 a lot longer than they have. But yeah. And then finally, like I said earlier, we run 4 gates for the level 1 climax combo, and 4 2k1 blue climax for the Satsuki level 3 to lose a level at level 2 so you can play it out early. Alright, I'll talk a little bit more about some cool plays you can play do in this deck. Like I said earlier, you can like run this in and give it a marker, then pay 2 and then like deal 2 more damage or whatever like that. Deal how many markers you want underneath this. It's pretty cool. Like, it also helps you like keep this alive longer if you're really hurting on hand and stuff like that. You can kind of like keep rebuilding this and like using it over and over again to like in the game as fast as you can. Besides that, the reason this card is like a lot of fun and awesome is because this card exists. So you can do things where like this card doesn't even have to be in the front row to do its ability, but you can do things like for example, run this in and let it die. That's the whole reason like we don't really care about power that much at level 3 is because you can like let this die and then re-encore it, and then or use its ability and then like pay 2 and burn more, cause your opponent to take more damage. But basically you want to have like 2 of these out at level 3. This is like one of the ways I like finishing the game, because it's very guaranteed, and like killing your opponent with guaranteed damage is pretty awesome. So you have like for example these 2 out and this, and you end up playing this climax to do the climax combo. So like you can set it up like you front here, run it in, and it dies, and then you put another marker underneath it, and it has 2 markers now, and it's rested again. And then say your opponent at that point only needs 2 damage to like basically die, and you have 2 markers here. So the way you can set it up to guarantee your win is if they have like level 2 or 3 characters here, you can just side and top deck with the climax combo since you're level 3. So you can side here, top deck a character from their waiting room, and then side here, top deck a character from your waiting room, go to encore step, pay 2, and deal the 2 damage that you know it's guaranteed here. That's like a really cool setup in a way. I've killed people before, and it's pretty annoying for them. And another silly thing about this too is like there has been a game where I have 1 card left in my deck and I have no healers, and so I can't attack that turn. But I have Ryuko on the field with a marker, and my opponent's at 3/6. So I just go to encore step and pay 2 and burn them. Sadly, that game they canceled, and then I lost the very next turn. But you know, like any situation like that where you end up like you can't heal 1 off and you're stuck at 3/6 and you can't attack, you have a chance at least with this Ryuko level 3 setup like that. But besides that, it's like one of the common ways to end the game. Another way is obviously salvage 3 of these. This is why this card you don't really use at level 1 that often. You kind of just like save a couple of them for a late game so you can do the climax combo and just set up a lot of guaranteed damage and things like that. Let's see. Another cool thing about this deck is because your level 2 game is very heavily based around the level 3 Satsuki. It's another reason why I very much favor this Junketsu event, just because it costs nothing, it helps you compress better, but also it helps you mill your deck for free whenever you want. So like usually you play a couple of these before your first refresh to help you refresh at 1x or like 1/6 or whatever. But when you refresh, your deck should be pretty compressed due to the nature of how your cards keep getting markers and the way you don't pay stock out really to do anything unless you have to pay climaxes out in this deck, so you can get pretty compressed pretty fast after your first refresh. But what's so great about that is like you have a couple of these on refresh, and you hit level 2 finally, but you have like none of the climaxes in waiting room. You can like play a couple of these and mill like 8 cards out of your deck, and usually you hit 1 or 2 of the climaxes just because your deck is so compressed at that point. It helps you get helps keep your level 2 game for your level 3 Satsuki very consistent. On top of having like your own brainstormer and stuff to help mill you cards too. Another thing that very helps a lot to set up your level 3 Satsuki at level 2 game is this level 0 here. A lot of the times you will draw into 2k1s after refresh because your deck is so compressed. Usually you don't care, but because you have this card here, you can play it, ditch the 2k1 out of your hand, and now you have 3 of the 2k1s in waiting room, and now this becomes level 2 in your hand, and you can start playing these. It's one of the ways basically these cards right here and with the brainstormer completely set up your level 2 game, and it's like very important to have like some combination of this and a brainstormer on your field at level 2, just so you can guarantee this. Because if you're not able to play these at level 2, your deck will like kind of fall apart just because you have to keep salvaging and like 1-0s and stuff like that, and can't really always beat their field. But this like basically guarantees the consistency of always getting this at level 2. There hasn't been a game so far where I couldn't play these at level 2. Besides that, let's see. Besides that, there's nothing really too crazy. You do sometimes you do want to hold on to these events, or at least one of them, to salvage like 1-0 Ryukos to set up the game, or use this to recycle level 3 Satsukis at level 2, just so you can keep healing and staying at level 2 as long as you can, because basically this deck is completely based around staying at level 2 as long as you can, pushing your opponent to level 3 before you, and then when they push you to level 3, you end the game for them as soon as you hit level 3. Any other notable things here? Nothing too crazy to really point out. The deck is pretty standard. It's kind of like how the old meta decks were built before like anti-heal was really introduced and stuff like that. But the reason I like this a lot better than some of the older versions is because the combination of this healer that's like very consistent to get out at level 2, and this game ender. Both the combination of these two it's pretty awesome. I think these are like basically the 2 best level 3s in the set, with Mako being a close third, or a close second, I mean. Mako's pretty strong, but I just really enjoy knowing that when I deal extra damage with this, I know exactly how much I'm dealing. Unlike with Mako, you sometimes have to build your deck around having like more level 2s or more level 1s or more level 3s to deal more damage with Mako when she cancels. Besides that, this deck does have some really annoying weaknesses. Like for example, if you somehow do never like get all the climaxes in your waiting room, which has hardly ever happened for the level 3 Satsuki, like getting 3 of these in the waiting room. That's never been a real problem for me, but it can happen. You also have, like I said earlier, have to watch out with your 1-0 event, see how many climaxes, Makos and stuff like that you have out of your deck to make sure that when you play it, you are actually getting a card out of it. Sometimes, like, if you're not careful, you will get nothing out of the 1-0 event, and that will totally screw you. Well, it won't totally screw you, but you just minus a card for almost no reason. Another weakness with this deck, and the whole reason I'm thinking about taking out those couple cards like I showed you, is that your level 1 game and level 2 game, you have no counters in this deck. Usually you don't care about beating your opponent somewhere, but honestly, after playing this deck a lot, I think I'm going to move in a counter or two. I think not playing any counters in this is a mistake right now, but I just got to kind of figure out what to cut and what to not cut. But overall, this deck's been doing very well. I've won like 2 or 3 like shop tournaments, which really doesn't mean shit, but it's showing that it has some consistency at winning tournaments and doing well. That's about it. If you guys have any like questions about this deck, any questions about anything general, just like comment below. And if you enjoyed this video, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys want to see in the future. Hopefully I can produce some other content for you guys other than just deck techs, maybe like series talks or like set talks and stuff like that. And hopefully I'll see you guys again. And also hopefully I like stay pretty consistent with getting releasing these deck tech videos and stuff like that. Thanks for watching, guys. Like I said, like, comment, subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you next time.